Now, I mentioned earlier that it's quite difficult to keep track of what different colors mean. What you really want is a color tool that displays the names of the tags that you wish to apply. Skim does not directly provide such a capability. However, you can build your own system in a way that actually transcends Skim by using Apple's Color Picker tool, which, as I mentioned earlier, is available here with Show Colors. So what you can do is define your own color palette in which each color represents a particular annotation category. Let me show you a complete system before showing you how to build one. Here's my inline tagging system. I'll scroll up here. And as you can see, there's a collection of colors, and each color basically represents an annotation category. So what that allows you to do when you're applying highlights is, instead of selecting colors from here, you can actually select colors from this basically self-created inline tagging tool. So as you can see, I've got tags defined for each category. So this here is a section. So actually, by clicking on this, I can see that, oh, okay, that's a section element. And what's this? This is a major proposition, and so on and so forth. And this here, as you recall, is something that I noted was very interesting. Now let's see how you can build this thing. The Apple Colors tool has a number of utilities within it, or tabs. Here you have a color wheel, and you've got a color slider, some color palettes, some image palettes, and color pencils. So it's a good idea to play around with these different tools to get the hang of them. Notice that you can set the opacity, which is important when you're dealing with highlights, because you want dark highlight colors to be translucent so that you can actually see through them. Now, an important thing to note is that there's a little holding bay here where you can store some of your colors. So here's a way that you can do that. Select a color palette of your choice, grab a color that you like, and then deposit it in one of these squares, and then this color becomes available for you to use later. So here's what you can do. Go to the Colors palette, create yourself a new palette, give it a name, now we've already got a color here that we can apply. We're not, however, very happy with it because look at the opacity of this. It's at 100%, so you can tell that this is not going to work well. You won't be able to read through the text. But if that was a much lighter color or the opacity was different, then we'd be able to see through it. Now, you're not going to be able to change the color that you've already applied, that you've already added to this palette. Unfortunately, there's very little you can do with that. You can rename it, but you can't then edit it. So then you can continue to edit your palette, creating essentially tags that suit your preference. For instance, this is for terms. This might be for minor claims or ancillary claims, and so on and so forth. You can then actually adjust these. This color palette tool is not stagnant at Apple. They have been making improvements to it, and hopefully we'll see further developments. This color tool is available in most well-designed OS X applications. So once you've designed your color palette, you can reuse it in all kinds of applications. For instance, here in OmniGraffle, you can see your palette. I should point out, however, that you may need to relaunch the application in which you want to view the palette after having edited the palette from within a different application, so that the new application, in this case OmniGraffle, can load up the new palette. So you can then take a color in OmniGraffle, for instance, and drag and drop it on another item. When you're done editing your color palette, you can size this down here and resize your entire window so that you can view the tags essentially that are at your disposal. So These inline tags now become helpful reminders for the types of annotation that you can apply to text. Now, if you find that your inline tagging color palette is becoming a little bit unmanageable or difficult to navigate because it's got many entries, what you can do is something similar to what I've done here, which is to divide the tags into different categories. So these here are kind of my main, more or less descriptive categories. Here we have formal categories that are about the form of the document as opposed to the content. So this denotes that we're dealing with an example. This says that it's a fact, it's a hypothesis, a quote, the methods or whatever. For scientific papers, you can denote that something is a section or a table or whatever. You're dealing with list items. Sometimes you're looking for a list item and it makes sense to tag it. And then in this section here, I've got evaluations. So things that I don't understand, information I want to use. So it's evaluations and actions, something may be very important or I think is irrelevant. And this category here, lots of laughs, is actually for something that's funny. Now you may laugh and wonder, well, why would he have this in here? Well, it happens that finding something funny is an emotional reaction, and often we're actually looking for information that has some kind of an emotional impact. So if you're going through a document and you think, well, there's something actually funny here, you might want to make a note of it. Now, this is not to suggest that you should be tagging up your entire document with all of this information. It's just if you're going to tag information anyway, and you want to keep track of why you're tagging it, then you can use this system. Now, another trick you can use when it comes to actually applying this information, so when you want to apply a tag, you can actually use this search tool here to narrow things down and say, okay, this is a quote. So you can apply this to a quote somewhere, drag and drop it as you know how to do. For example, here we have what I consider to be an interesting quote about reading, which really just justifies this entire project. It's a criticism of speed reading. So if you think you want to use that, then you can tag it as a quote. To save you the trouble of creating an entire palette of your own, we've stored a copy of this palette here on the internet, and all you need to do is download that file and put it into your home directory under library colors and restart your Skim application or whatever application you want to use it in, and then you can start using it.